Don't really care. This is one story I cannot wait to get into. This is kind of the final story, and then we're going to talk about everyone's questions because we've got quite a bit of interaction on Twitter, and I appreciate you guys doing so and bearing with us. I don't know if you've seen this. You might have noticed Aaron Cruz, our boy, put it in a group chat. Courtesy of Lab Bible. Mother claims WWE Slambulance toys encourage violence against emergency responders. It appears there's one parent that isn't a fan of WWE's toys. After viewing a commercial featuring Drew McIntyre tearing through a WWE ambulance called the WWE Slambulance, get it? That's fucking terrible, by the way. Bournemouth native, which by the way is about an hour and a half from me, and mother of three, Sabrina Fitzsimmons, was left less than impressed, excuse me, with WWE's toys, feeling that it perpetuates violence towards ambulances and emergency responders. This toy is massively inappropriate, Fitzsimmons told Lad by, what's her first name? Sabrina. No, it's not. It's Karen. I wouldn't purchase that for my child, and I certainly wouldn't get behind advertising it. I just think you're crossing a line of ethics and morals. God, you're in for a treat when you see what GTA does, love. Toys are supposed to teach our children, not only be fun. When I saw it, I just thought, what a time to be advertising a toy like this to children. These people in the healthcare sector saved our lives. So advocate for a toy that perpetuates the message of violence towards the vehicles and the people that help us. I just think, what kind of message are you sending to children here? How is that okay? WWE has a huge following from little ones right up to adults, including my 13-year-old son. I think it's just such the wrong message. I wasn't trying to be a quotations Karen, but I just found it really offensive given the pressure I know the services have been under and the sacrifices they've made. I could see that the advert really upset my partner. Fitzsimmons' partner, Cressy, is an NHS healthcare assistant. That's the National Health Service for the United Kingdom, for anyone who's wondering. That's basically our healthcare system, which is also beautiful and wonderful in every sense. And by the way, I do have some actual words of wisdom from people who work in the NHS, who I'm very close to. That combined with the efforts of health workers during the pandemic appeared to be Fitzsimmons' main gripes. I work in retail and you use some degree of common sense, Fitzsimmons continued. If that fell on my desk and I was told we're going to advertise this, I would be asking questions. Is this good at any time, not just after a pandemic, to advocate violence against emergency workers? Which, by the way, it fucking doesn't do, you lying sack of shit. It's never a good thing. Do you know what? I can't be bothered with your shit. This pisses me off. You're a fucking Karen. You're a fucking joke. You're a butthurt, ridiculously oversensitive tart who needs to grow the fuck up and realize that it's a fucking toy. And if you think that your kids are going to be offended by this or that this perpetuates violence, then maybe you need to do a better job as a fucking parent, you pathetic melt.
Jeez, dude, I can't wait to go, throw a rock at an ambulance after I play with this toy. I'm learning so much.
Exactly what I thought when I saw this. I thought, do you know what? I can't wait to just attack. Do you know what? At no point do these figures, right, perpetuate violence. What it is actually the Slambulance. The ambulance match has been a part of WWE since, I believe, 2003. So where's your fucking outrage for the last 18 years, Karen? Oh, of course, because there's now a toy. And by the way, this isn't the first toy that has ambulance parts or perpetuates the idea of maybe... It doesn't perpetuate any of that. You have made that interpretation because you need to be offended. And I have worked and have friends who work in the health sector, including a friend of mine who has overcome cancer twice, while working not only in a private health sector, but also a public one for the NHS. And when I told her this, she said, that woman can suck my fucking dick. And by the way, the person who told me that she can suck her fucking dick is not actually someone who has a penis. So incredible in that sense. I think this is pathetic. I think this is just another fucking fine example of our culture, which is we don't want to take responsibility for being parents. We want someone else to fucking carry the responsibility for us. The same people who want GTA cancelled because it perpetuates violence. Everything perpetuates violence. You're right with Game of Thrones having a fucking rape scene every 10 minutes, aren't you? You're right with Walking Dead having corpses being ripped up. And don't give me the whole, oh, well, those things have a clear age limit on them. So does GTA. So who's the fucking retard if you go out and buy an 18-plus game for your ugly little troglodyte that you call a child? I don't fucking care that you're a parent. I don't give a shit that you have opted to bring children onto this earth. Good for you. Guess what? That's your responsibility. They're your fucking kids. They're not mine. It is not my responsibility to teach your children the rights and the wrongs of the world. It is your responsibility, and more importantly, is your responsibility to actually act like a fucking adult and not be offended by a toy that is made of plastic when there are people being raped and murdered and dying on a regular basis. And the fact that you want to use that as your fucking leverage for an argument makes you a pathetic Karen cunt. What you are is a fucking big old tuna melt. You're a joke. You're a fucking perpetuation of a weak society that doesn't want to take responsibility for its own decisions. It wants to pass the buck as per usual because it's much easier to sit there and read The Sun and get drunk off of 3 tequilas a day than it is to go outside and actually show true responsibility and actually act and react with proper change. And the fact that Lab Bible picked it up says volumes about it, and the fact that they were the only people who really reported it really does speak volumes, because let's be honest, that's a clickbait bullshit website. As I've said on many occasions, you are a pathetic, weak-minded individual twat, and frankly, I don't want to hear any more from you. And as far as I'm concerned, the only thing these toys do is perpetuate the idea of spending way too much money on a piece of plastic. Fucking go and bore someone else, Karen.
I mean, that's what ratings in general are for, you know? And parents are, you said all right, but they're responsible for teaching their children the right things. But if you just automatically assume that your child's first thought will be, man, I can't wait to just stick my thumb up the butthole of a Medicare worker, that's your fault, sweetheart. Sorry, not sorry.
It's the offense culture. People have got to be offended. It's cool to be offended. And not only am I offended, but everybody in the world needs to know that I'm offended. I'm offended by watching people die every single day from poverty, having a record amount of people using food banks in this country because our government decided that they didn't want to give hot meals to homeless people or young children and had to be kind of bullied and shamed into it by the social media and by the great big personalities of football and things of that nature. I'm offended by the idea that we live in such an unbelievably, astonishingly wage gap society where the rich continue to live and prosper while more and more people fight against the poverty line and die because they can't afford to pay, the simplest of prices for food. That's what I'm offended by. I'm offended by the idea that refugees die, children die trying to cross a goddamn channel or a river or a sea or a border in the hope that they won't be fucking relentlessly bombed, raped, and murdered and removed from their lives and their livelihoods and their families and their cultures that they would actually very much like to stay in. I'm offended by the fact that people like China and their bullshit government think it's okay to enact genocide against Muslims. I'm offended by a lot of things, but I'll tell you what, I'm not offended by whatever it was, Sabrina Fitzsimmons of Bournemouth. I'm offended at someone like you. I'm not offended by toys, by the way. That's what I was going to say. But I'll tell you what I'm offended by. The fact that someone like you who lives in such a fucking unbelievably privileged and nice area like Bournemouth has the nerve to come out here and say something like that. Talking about how just because you have people, people that work in the NHS sector like your partner, that does not excuse you and your ignorance from the rest of the fucking world. You are an ignorant piece of shit, is what you are, and you're pathetic. And the fact that you're offended by something is fine. But as people always say, offense is taken, not given. If you're really that offended, then do me a favor. Go and cry into your little fucking dark room and don't come out again, because the world is an incredibly fucking difficult and tough place. And the fact that you have children does not mean that you are better than me. It does not mean you are better than society. And it sure as hell doesn't mean that you are above the scrutiny and the abuse that you will fucking get for such a ludicrously pathetic and liquidated response to something that is so unbelievably antiquated like a toy. Grow up, you fucking piece of trash. Now then, interactions. By the way, anything else you want to add? Do you want to bury this fucking Karen anymore while we have the opportunity?
I don't think that's even possible, to be honest.
What's a fucking cunt? These people are exactly why this world is in a fucking shit state. Like, I'm not old school guy. But I tell you what I am. I'm somebody that believes do you know what, right? When I was a kid, and I'm only 36, but when I was a fucking kid, if you had a problem, yeah, you fucking went and dealt with that problem. If you had something to say to people, you fucking went and said it to them. Or you bit your lip, you fucking swallowed your pride, and you got over it and got on with your life if it was small enough, if it was minute enough. Not nowadays. I'm going to go on social media and have a little whinge. Oh, I don't like it. Someone said something nasty. I must have my say. I must complain. Blah, 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 blah. Please, 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 fuck off. Fuck off and grow up and stop acting like a fucking child just because everything doesn't suit you. Newsflash. I'm not a huge fan of AEW and I'm not a huge fan of Kenny Omega. So do you know what I do? I fucking, don't watch the goddamn product because I have a choice. If it offends you that much, don't fucking buy the toys. Don't look at them. Keep buying your fucking Peppa Pigs. Keep buying your Paw Patrol and shut the fuck up. You fucking melt.